Hey everyone, today I wanted to talk to you about the Great Eastern Cutlery ooh, Bullnose. I believe I forgot the number. I know GEC, as they are more commonly known as, they kind of go by like numbers. So it'd be like GEC number 71 or 72. I apologize. I do not remember the number of this model. I know this. They also call this a bullnose. I've had this for, man, I would say probably 3 years now. As you can see, it looks kind of beat up. But yeah, before I get into this knife more in depth, I'm not a big like slip joint traditional knife guy. I like all the kind of the modern, knives out there. Like most of my knives are like titanium. My Carta. Anyways, yeah, what I'm saying, like I do like, like I'll say all my knives, like, aside from this one, is all just kind of the modern kind of folding knives. But this is the one kind of traditional slip joint knife that I own. And so I just want to bring it before you guys to kind of, give you guys my experience with it and really speak to those other knife nuts out there that are not into slip joints, not into traditional knives, but, you're thinking about, kind of trying it out, buying a GEC or, a case, or, any other kind of slip joint out there. So this is really for you guys, if you're kind of on the fence, if you're just wondering, if you should pull the trigger or not. Like I said, I got this knife about 3 years ago. I've had it in my collection ever since. And honestly, I'm really glad I got this knife as my first kind of slip joint traditional knife. Ever since I gotten this knife, I have not purchased any additional slip joints. Because I just realized like slip joints aren't for me, but I'm really thankful to at least have one slip joint and have this particular slip joint in my collection. This is from Great Eastern Cutlery. Most people will know them as, as their acronym GEC. This is the Farm and Field Tool line. They have different kind of lines within the company. Sorry, excuse me. I'm about to sneeze right now. Sorry about that. But yeah, this is the Farm and Field Tool edition. And below that, it says Made in USA. On the other side, it says GEC for Great Eastern Cutlery. CAR stands for carbon steel. I believe this is 1095 from what I remember. And then at the bottom here, see right there, those numbers, I believe that's the number of when this knife was produced. So if I'm not mistaken, it has something to do with when they actually produced this knife. So with that being said, on the pivot it says F and F for farm and field, and then USA. I love, I'm a big, supporter of anything made in the USA, but I'm not a hater as well. I know some people hate hate products from other, countries like China or not. I'm not one of those people. You know what I'm saying? I'm an appreciator of all things from all countries if it's made well. You know what I'm saying? But if I do get a chance to support USA made products, I'm all for it too. So I love how this is made in the USA. And oh man, moving on to the build of this knife, it is built so well. I mean, it's just this is like perfection, I would say. Like, let me close this knife real quick. It's just everything is just rounded, rounded off. It is so comfortable in the hand, just because there is no sharp edges or corners on the handle. They really did everything is just super flush. So let me see. So as you can see, like everything is flush. Just very, very pleasant to hold in the hand and to use. There is just no harsh edges whatsoever. Look at that. Look at just the craftsmanship of this knife. Look at how they rounded off the butt of the handle. It's just, I cannot feel any sharp edges whatsoever. Okay, I take that back. There is sharp edges, but you will not feel it. The sharp edges are not where your hand interfaces with the handle anyway, so it's not a big deal. But if I have to bring it up, that pivot, I don't know what they call it, but they press fit this pivot. It's not as you can see, it's not like a Torx or a screw. So they kind of, I guess, hammer or press this metal kind of bar through the pivot. But yeah, the edges of that is sharp. See how it kind of sticks out? So it's a little sharp, but aside from that, there is nothing else that is really sharp. I guess the inside edges of the steel liners are a little sharp, but you don't really feel it because it's so flush. As you see, it's like so flush with that micarta scale, so you don't feel it at all whatsoever. I have small to medium sized hands, and as you can see, I could get all 4 fingers around that handle very easily. I think this is the most comfortable, like this grip is the most comfortable way to hold this knife. As you can see, this kind of has a really big butt. Let me bring out my sway back here. So the sway back kind of has a similar kind of design profile where the butt, you have more butt than the front part. So kind of the similar kind of design aesthetic. It is really rounded at the butt of the handle, so it just feels it just kind of sits in the palm, the meat of your palm, very comfortably. This is very comfortable to hold and to use. I like to use my knives in a pinch grip. It's not as comfortable versus this because, as you can see, it does kind of have a 90-degree angle, shelf. But it's honestly not a big deal because it is micarta. It does feel fairly comfortable when you do pinch grip it. But yeah, I would say this is the most ideal way to hold this knife is this way. But yeah, so I do want to point out, man, the micarta scales on this knife is just absolutely beautiful. When I first got this knife, it was a lighter shade of brown. So I believe this was, brown micarta scales. But like I said, over time of me holding it and just absorbing my oils and whatever other kind of liquid I have subjected to, it's really, turned into a really warm brown micarta scale. And with those brass, I think these are brass, brass collars or what, I forgot what I call it, but the color, of that brass with that warm micarta just looks so good. Yeah, this knife is I love this kind of, this just screams traditional, everything about this knife. This is, I believe, 1095 carbon, so it does patina and it will rust if you don't take care of it. As you can see, I've used this knife really a lot, and it has formed a nice patina, as well as, I don't know what that is. It's not rust, but I guess it's just a different kind of a patina. But yeah, this knife sharpens so scary sharp. Right now it's not as sharp because I used it a lot, but yeah, this thing's sharp, and it comes to a razor edge if you sharpen it. It cuts really well. It's a full flat grind pretty much, so it will slice through materials very easily. It does have a sharpening choil, and I'm not a hater or lover of sharpening choils. I just feel like to me it's just, it's a non-issue. The only thing is that it can bind up. Anytime you have a sharpening choil, you do have the possibility of material kind of binding up in that choil as you're cutting through stuff. I've never really had to encounter that because it is a fairly small sharpening choil. Um, this has a real, it does have a half stop, 90-degree half stop, and it's a very solid half stop. Boom, it just clunks into that half stop and then it'll snap into full closure. This has a really heavy pull. So what I mean by pull is that when you try to take that knife out, it requires some strength to pull it out. It does have a nail nick, so you could use a nail nick, but I've had I've had times when it literally like chipped my nail. So I like to kind of take the meat of my thumb and my forefinger and then use, that meat, kind of dig into that nail nick and then just pull it out. But if you have oily hands, it's gonna be a challenge, I'll be honest. But yeah, you go to half stop and then boom, it snaps into place. And it's just it's so solid. There is no wiggle, left, right, up or down at all. It feels like a locking knife, like if you just give some, there is no wiggles. So if you're not a slip joint guy but you're looking to get a slip joint, but one of your issues is that because you're scared that it might close up on you because it is a non-locking knife, I would say do not fear whatsoever. Like it takes it takes a deliberative action to close this knife, and you have that half stop, so it will not like close up on your fingers. You know what I'm saying? Unless, I mean, it could happen for sure, but there's that half stop to kind of prevent that, and then you could just boom, snap it. And when it closes, man, you do not want your finger in that when you're about to close it, because it will cut you for sure, because it does have a heavy pull. So that's what I mean by heavy pull, is that in slip joint talk, it just means that pull is that. It's just, if it has a light pull, it means it just takes less effort to open and close the knife. That's what it means, really. I might be wrong, but I think that's pretty much what it means. As you can see, when you're at the half stop, the lever, the kind of the thing that kind of holds the knife in place, see how it engages when you are engaging or disengaging the knife. But when you're at the half stop, totally flush. Some less quality kind of slip joints, it will not be flush. But the great thing about GECs are that they make sure that everything is flush. So when you engage the knife, it comes up and then boom, it locks into place. And then everything is just super flush. Yeah, I love that about GECs. I think they're the best kind of traditional slip joint knives you could get on the market, because they really pay attention to those kinds of details. I know some other slip joints like case knives, at least in the past, they had like issues where there's gaps between like the scale and the liners, or when you have the half stop, it's not flush, or even when it's fully engaged, it's not flush. Everything is like flush here. Other issues, yeah, like I said, I'm not a huge slip joint guy, so I don't know all the different issues or things out there regarding slip joints. But yeah, if you're like on the fence, man, if you want to try a slip joint, go with the Great Eastern Cutlery, because you will not go wrong. Like I said, there's different lines. I believe like the best or the highest, most expensive line of the GEC is the Northfield. I think that's the Northfield line. That's like the most expensive and I guess the highest quality. But if you're kind of looking to maybe just try it out, for the first time, go with like a Farm and Field. There's other lines. I don't remember it off the top of my head right now. But yeah, the Bullnose design, I love it. It's not always available. They come out like in seasons, like in cycles. And they come out with different like handle materials. They'll come out with like a Delrin material, other kind of micarta colors and stuff like that. So yeah, they're not always readily available, but I would say that they're fairly available. You know, they come out pretty regularly. The blade length on this is about 3 inches, I believe, and I think that's perfect. It does not have a pocket clip. I did buy like a pocket slip or like a leather sheath for this, but I gave it away. So I just kind of throw this in my pocket, and it just like sits freely in my pocket. It has a very slim profile, so it's not obtrusive in the pocket. But like I said, if you're more into like the more modern folders with the clip, then yeah, you will not get that. With most slip joints, you won't get it. Yeah, so that's the thing. You might want to get a pocket slip or a leather sheath to kind of carry it on your belt if you're not into just carrying it in your pocket like freely. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like I don't know what else I could say about this. It's just, I mean, it's a very utilitarian tool for sure. I mean, you're not gonna get the most modern features on this particular GC model. Most of the time you'll get like an O1 tool steel or A2 or 1095 or 1075. The great thing about tool steels are that they sharpen so sharp, you just razor sharp, but you do have to just take care of it a little bit more. Just kind of wipe it down. Maybe put a light coat of oil on it. But it does patina, and I love patinas, so I did kind of just leave stuff on there, and it has patinaed very nicely. To me, it just gives a character. It tells a story. It just kind of reminds you that this is your knife. It kind of leaves its marks. And I love that about pocket knives in general. Like, for example, that's why I love Chris Reeve knives too, because it just kind of leaves like marks on it that just really just makes it like your knife. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me see another one. This is one of my favorite Chris Reeve knives. As you can see, I've carried this a lot, and it just leaves, yeah, it just kind of tells its own story. And so it goes with this blade. It just tells its own story, as you can see. Yeah, great slip joint. Yeah, like I said, this is for anyone that's just really looking to maybe try out a slip joint for the first time. Yeah, man, go with a Great Eastern Cutlery. I believe knives ship free. They have a great selection of Great Eastern Cutlery slip joints. Yeah, man, this is a keeper. Like I said, I've had this for like 2-3 years in my rotation, my collection, and yeah, it's a keeper for sure. Anyways, with that being said, I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. Remember, just find one thing to be thankful for. There's always something to be thankful for, even if it feels like kind of lame. I've created a habit of just being thankful for at least one thing. Maybe I'm drinking a very good cup of coffee, or maybe I'm just handling or using a really good knife and it's just cutting very well. I'm just thankful for that. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, with that being said, thanks so much for watching. Thanks for your time. I know time is very precious, so thank you. I'll see you guys on the next one.